Let's take a look at how you can easily transition from 2D to 3D with the product design and manufacturing collection. The first thing I want to mention is you don't have to choose between 2D AutoCAD and 3D Inventor. Because we're talking about the product design and manufacturing collection, you can leverage these tools together during the transition process. What I'd like to share with you today is how you can leverage your existing 2D data to accelerate the move to 3D, and how you can bring that data from Inventor back into AutoCAD when you need 2D data in an AutoCAD file format. First, let's talk about how you can leverage your existing AutoCAD data. The first way is a simple cut and paste of data from AutoCAD into Inventor. We'll start with an AutoCAD file that has a feature that I want to use to help create a 3D model. The first thing we want to do is create a block inside of AutoCAD, which I'm sure you've all done before. We'll issue the block command, select the geometry we want contained in the block, select the base point, and finally give it a name and hit OK. Once we've created the block, this allows us to insert that particular block into Inventor as a piece of group geometry rather than individual lines, arcs, and circles. We'll select the block and hit copy. Then we'll switch over to Inventor. We'll create a new sketch and we'll right-click and hit paste. The trick here is you want to right-click again before you paste it. This will show us our paste options. Here we'll want to make sure that we constrain the endpoints. We can choose to apply geometric constraints if we want to. And the important thing here is to check the box for AutoCAD blocks to Inventor blocks. This inserts it as a block in Inventor. This allows us to reuse that block inside of Inventor as much as you like, even in different sketches. And if you know how blocks work, if I edit the definition of the original block, all the instances of the block automatically update as well. Something to keep in mind with this workflow is this is one direction from AutoCAD to Inventor. If the geometry in AutoCAD changes, it will not update inside of Autodesk Inventor. Another way to leverage your AutoCAD data is to insert the entire drawing. This gives you the flexibility to work with multiple views to build your 3D model. Any dimensions from AutoCAD become associative dimensions inside of Inventor automatically. When we begin to build the 3D model, we can use the projected views to measure distances for things such as extrusion depths and other critical features. Similar to the previous process, this is not associative back to the original AutoCAD file. You do have an option to leverage the AutoCAD data associatively inside of Inventor. We'll start a new part, and rather than starting a new sketch, underneath the 3D Model tab in Create, we'll choose the Import option. We'll select the AutoCAD file we want to use. We'll be prompted to select which plane we'd like to build the part on, and next the insertion point on the new sketch. Inventor tells us that we've just created an associative DWG underlay and gives us a few instructions on how to leverage the DWG geometry. The next step is to create a new sketch on that same origin plane and then choose the Project DWG Geometry command. This step is required since this is an associative DWG underlay. Once projected, we can create our 3D geometry and add any additional features to finish our part. Since it's associative back to the AutoCAD file, if we stretch the component, let's say 30 millimeters shorter, when we come back into Inventor, we'll notice there's a lightning bolt beside the DWG, and when we choose our global update option, our geometry automatically updates to match the 2D AutoCAD drawing. The benefit here is your ability to leverage existing AutoCAD data as much or as little as needed depending on the project and the circumstances to help accelerate your move to 3D. The next thing I want to talk about is how to get your 2D Inventor data into AutoCAD. Sometimes you need to share the Inventor drawings with internal teams or external stakeholders that need AutoCAD, and depending on what they'll be doing with a file will depend on how you share the data. The first thing I want to point out before we jump into that is that you have two different options for creating drawings inside of Inventor. The first is an Inventor IDW file. This is the native Inventor drawing file format. The other option you have is a DWG file that can be opened inside of AutoCAD. It'll behave slightly differently inside of AutoCAD, and you'll see that in a minute. But the basic rule of thumb here is, if you need to share your drawings from Inventor to AutoCAD, make sure to use the DWG file. Keep in mind, when you're in Inventor, you won't notice a difference when working with either file. You may notice a slightly larger DWG file, but that's the only difference. I can take my Inventor drawing file that was created as a DWG file, save it and close it, and then switch over to AutoCAD and open it. And initially, the file looks, works, and behaves just like any other AutoCAD DWG file. You can zoom, pan, add dimensions, add revisions, markups, you name it. Anything you need to do inside of AutoCAD. The difference is, this is purely a paper-space drawing. This is an ideal workflow for sending data back to AutoCAD so that other users can print, mark up, and annotate 2D AutoCAD drawings. You can also leverage the blocks that are created inside of this DWG file for inserting into other drawings. Keep in mind, this is not associative back to the original file. Only the original DWG file remains associative with Inventor. The next workflow option is to go from 2D Inventor to AutoCAD and have the files be fully editable lines, arcs, and circles. We'll open up our 2D file inside of Inventor, and this time we're going to hit Save Copy As. Make sure that the Save As type is set to AutoCAD DWG file. And also, you have various options for choosing how the geometry is scaled, whether it's going to be model space and paper space, whether you only want the geometry. We'll give this a file name, and we'll choose Save. When we open this up inside of AutoCAD, you can see all the geometries there. This is an excellent option if your final deliverable is a project that needs native DWG files, or if you're sharing data with partners or vendors that need to edit the actual AutoCAD files. As you can see, these workflows, whether they be from AutoCAD into Inventor or Inventor into AutoCAD, give you the flexibility to use as much or as little information as you want during the transition from 2D to 3D. The data can be shared associatively or non-associatively. When you choose the Product Design and Manufacturing collection, you don't have to choose between AutoCAD and Inventor because you have both when you need them and where you need them.